It was the worst fire in Georgia's history. 600,000 acres burned, many millions in financial damage, most from lost timber. But it didn't have to be this devastating. In the aftermath of this historical fire, timber rangers and biologists show us proof that prescribed burning could have prevented much of the timber losses.
But lots of biologists, we drive down the road and you could see the pine plantations. They burned, they didn't, they burned, they didn't. And not every single one of them, but a lot of those pine plantations that were burned on a regular interval, I mean, we couldn't have prescribed a more beautiful fire to go through there. And you could see the adjacent landowner that let the fuels accumulate. There was nothing but, little smoldering matchsticks that were left out there.
And as the fire came through, it hit this area of where we have done prescribed burning operations in the last 3 years. There wasn't a lot of fuels on the ground to be able to allow the fire to gather intensity. So as you can see from the canopy layer of the trees, they survive very well.
These officials hope that the fire will be a lesson for both those whose forests survived and for those who are salvaging and replanting. Wildlife in the swamp also suffered in the most intensely burning areas, those that were not properly maintained. Nikki Castleberry and her colleagues came upon this scene. You have to look very closely at these pictures to see the family of deer hiding in the burned out brush.
They were sleeping, and I think people have heard all kinds of stories. Animals have amazing sense of what's going on around them, whether it's any kind of natural disaster, fire, or whatever. And so I think that they're much more in tune to what's going on around them.
Fire is a natural part of this ecosystem, and the wildlife and the trees have they've adapted to it. When you have a fire come through, it clears out a lot of dead vegetation, a lot of debris, kind of clears it out, and it allows new vegetation to come up. Young quail will really go to town on the insects that are in that new vegetation, in that grass, that low herbaceous cover.
Castleberry told us how fire actually helps to shape the swamp, especially when the peat in the ground catches fire.
There was areas of the swamp where the peat burned 14 feet deep, and those are new pools for animals to get in. Those will fill in once we hopefully get some rain eventually, and then those will be nice areas of swamp.
So what's next in the Okefenokee? In our next report, you'll see the damage done by fire breaks, what the fire will eventually mean to the ecosystems, and how the timber industry will recover.